We're now joined by Dale Florio. He's a Republican strategist and managing partner at Princeton Public Affairs Group. Good to see you, Dale.
Always good to see you, Steve.
I've had so many interesting conversations about politics. We try not to do it from an insider's perspective, but rather help people who are not involved every day make sense of it. Help them make sense, not just as a Republican strategist, but as a key advisor to the Jack Ciattarelli campaign. We're doing this show at the end of 2021. What was the most significant message you believe that voters should take away from that election with Governor Murphy?
You know, elections are always about momentum. And when you look at the popularity or lack of popularity of the president at the time in New Jersey, that created a real backdrop.
President Biden, not President Trump.
Biden, right. It created a backdrop that people just weren't happy. That combined with the pandemic, created a backdrop for a challenger to run an aggressive campaign. The other thing too is that Republicans have, President Trump did not do well with the electorate in New Jersey, right? I mean, if you're an ardent Trump
supporter, he got beat by 16 points in 2020.
Right. I mean, it just did not do well. He obviously has basis support. But, I think if you're on the other side, on the Democratic side, you think that momentum lasts forever, and it just doesn't. We saw this when Jim Florio ran for governor. He won during his midterms. I mean, we elected Republican assembly members in Hudson County in the midterms. And so Republicans got used to winning because they thought it was all about them. But it's about momentum. And then when the President Trump came to office and really got beat up pretty well in New Jersey, I think Democrats got comfortable thinking that that's how the voters were always going to respond. And so you got to really feel the momentum. You got to understand what's going on at the higher levels.
Well, let me ask you this, though, Dale. Again, you've always been someone, not just as a Republican strategist, but someone as a lobbyist who talks to all kinds of people across the aisle, the bipartisan thing, getting things done. Jack Ciattarelli has the same track record. So here's my question. In such a polarized, if you're not with me and you're not with my party and you're not with Trump or you're not with Biden, you must be my enemy. You've never worked that way. Jack Ciattarelli has never worked that way. New Jersey has never worked that way. Where does a New Jersey Republican who's moderate/conservative function in a party that is led by the former president who, respectfully, it's not my opinion, he just doesn't see bipartisanship in the same way?
Well, I think, whether you're in New Jersey or any other state, maybe the President Trump did not do well in, you have to talk about the issues. And sure, you're going to take incoming from the other side. You're going to get people that have been big supporters of Donald Trump wondering why you're not embracing the former president. But, at the end of the day, you look at the data and you're right, Steve. New Jersey is a very moderate state. It kind of goes a little left, and it's been going a little left more often than not.
Not as blue as people think.
It's a center left.
Not as blue as people think.
Right. It's a slightly center left state. So you have to understand that and then talk about the messages. I mean, the federal election, the presidential election was over last year. Now, certainly the Murphy campaign was smart to try to continue to make that connection. But, I think what you saw was a Republican candidate trying to talk to the larger mass in the middle and try to knit together those folks that were supportive of the president with, people that were not happy with what was going on nationally under President Biden.
Dale, break down some of the key issues and concerns of New Jersey voters, not just for that election, but moving into 2022 when this program is being seen. What are those core issues?
Steve, it's always property taxes. I mean, it's always property taxes.
I just got my bill. I can appreciate it.
And listen, both parties have taken runs at it. I mean, it's not easy. It's not easy. But it will continue to be property taxes. So how do we make sure that New Jersey's affordable? And that becomes the challenge. I know on the Ciattarelli side, the idea was to start with a new school funding formula. Now, Jack's not going to have the opportunity to do that. But that's where, that's a big chunk of what gets spent at the local level.
Changing state aid to certain municipalities for their schools, particularly in Hoboken and Jersey City, where Jack Ciattarelli said, hey, listen, those are wealthier urban communities that are growing, their tax base is stronger. But let's be clear that property taxes are in many ways a product of that state aid. So how would changing state aid in education lower property taxes?
Well, it would help the communities that are paying a far greater share, right? And it would certainly force communities to look at their educational system. Are they overstaffed? But there are a lot of communities that are paying higher property taxes than other places that get a lot more aid. So, population shift, school population shift. Legislators on both sides of the aisle have talked about the school funding formula for a long time. I mean, the last time we did this was under John Corzine, and it was a bipartisan product. Well, things change. As I said, population shift. Now's one of those times the state probably should take another look at it, but it's not easy. It's not easy at all because there are winners and losers.
Yeah, give me COVID mandates, vaccines, loaded, I know, and its impact on the political culture in our state.
Listen, I think people are just tired. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat, they're just tired. It's not the governor's fault. I mean, this is an international pandemic, and folks are just tired of it. So I think what you saw, whether you are fully vaccinated or you're not, people are just tired. And I think that's the angst, to the extent that had any impact on the election, was what people are feeling. I mean, everybody had their lane in terms of what they said about vaccinations, masks, other protocols. But I think what you saw were just people that are just tired.
But the way elections, real quick on this, Dale, the way elections are going to be run, more mail-in ballots, more different ways of voting, will it continue to cause people to question the outcome of elections because elections are run so differently and votes are counted so differently? Dale?
Listen, Republicans need to do a better job with the vote by mail program. But I also think that vote by mails will become a less and less of a factor because with early voting, I think more and more people will take advantage of going to the ballot box, that 9 days before. Right now, the law is 9 days, right? You can go vote on a machine. I think we'll see more people doing that. Kudos to both candidates. Neither Governor Murphy or Ciattarelli complained about the voting apparatus, how it was counted. I think the legislature is looking, and I think the governor is interested in looking to see how we can, speed up the counting, right? I mean, we grew up at a time, Steve, when, by the time you went to bed on election night, you knew who won, right? And people still expect that to be the case, but the way the law is set up in terms of being able to count vote by mails, what we call provisional ballots, ballots that were mailed but have a postmark, you can still count those 7 days later. We've got to figure out a way, how can we shorten that time frame? Especially you get these local municipal elections where there could be a difference of 5 votes. You're waiting another 2 or 3 weeks to figure out who won and then maybe a challenge.
Dale Florio is a Republican strategist, managing partner at Princeton Public Affairs Group. Dale, as always, thank you for your perspective on things. All the best as this is seen in 2022 in the new year to you and your family. Thanks, Dale.
Same to you, Steve. Take care now.
You got it. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Think Tank with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation. Funding has been provided by RWJ Barnabas Health, Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, Johnson & Johnson, Summit Health, PSE&G, Wells Fargo, the New Jersey Education Association, the Russell Berry Foundation, and by New Jersey Sharing Network. Promotional support provided by the New Jersey Business and Industry Association and by bestofnj.com.
If you need to see a doctor, RWJ Barnabas Health has 2 easy ways to do it from anywhere. You can see an urgent care provider 24/7 on any device with our telemed app. Or use our website to book a virtual visit with an RWJ Barnabas Health Medical Group provider or specialist, even as a new patient. You've taken every precaution, and so have we. So don't delay your care any longer. RWJ Barnabas Health. Let's be healthy together.